The boats drifted silently down the great river, the only sound the soft splash of oars cutting through the water. The fellowship was quiet, lost in thought. The golden woods of Lothlorien were far behind them, and ahead, the land stretched wild and uncertain. They had traveled together for so long, but now, the road was dividing. Frodo sat in his boat, gripping the ring beneath his cloak. Its presence had never felt stronger, its whisper never more insistent. He could feel it now, not just on his skin, but in his mind, calling to him. If he had the ring, Gondor could finally win. They reached the shore of Amon Hen in the late afternoon. Amon Hen, an ancient watchtower of men, its ruins standing atop a high hill. Here, they would decide their path. As they pulled the boats onto land, Aragorn turned to the others. We rest here tonight. Tomorrow we choose our road. But Frodo already knew. He could feel the danger. He had seen it in Galadriel's mirror, and now it was here, creeping ever closer. The fellowship was breaking, and if he did not leave soon, the ring would tear them apart. Boromir's fall as the others set up camp, Frodo walked alone into the trees, his thoughts racing. He had to leave. He had to go alone. But he wasn't alone. Frodo. The voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, something tight, desperate. He turned. Boromir. The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You seem troubled, my friend. Frodo forced a small smile. Just thinking. Boromir took a step closer. About what? Frodo hesitated. The journey. What happens next? Boromir nodded. Yes. And have you thought, Frodo, what it is we are truly doing? Frodo stiffened. Have you thought about Gondor? Boromir's voice grew stronger. About my people? My city is on the brink of destruction. We fight every day, outnumbered, outmatched. And yet here we are walking to Mordor to what? Destroy the greatest weapon we have. Frodo took a step back. Boromir. I only wish to speak, Frodo, Boromir said, but his voice was quick, rushed, as if he couldn't stop himself now. Think of what the ring could do. You have seen its power. Why not use it? Why let it fall into the hands of the enemy when it could be ours? Frodo shook his head. It is the enemy, Boromir. Boromir took a step forward. No. It is a tool. And in the right hands, in no hands, Frodo snapped, his heart hammering. It will corrupt anyone who tries to use it. Boromir's expression darkened. Even you? Frodo hesitated. Boromir saw his chance. I don't mean to frighten you, Frodo. But why should we wander through the wild, hunted like animals, when we could end this war? I would not keep it, Frodo. Only wield it. Only until Sauron is defeated. The ring cannot be wielded, Frodo whispered. Boromir's face twisted. You sound just like the others. Just like the wizard, filling your head with doubt. Frodo took another step back. I have to go. Boromir moved faster. His hand shot forward. Give it to me. Frodo jumped away, his breath coming fast. No, Boromir's face contorted. Why do you recoil from me? He lunged. I am no thief. I only want to. Frodo turned and ran. Boromir chased him, his voice breaking. I only want to save my people. Frodo tripped, crashing onto the ground. Boromir loomed over him, breathing hard, his hands trembling. You will beg for my help before the end? He whispered. Frodo ripped the ring from his pocket and slipped it on. The world vanished. The eye of Sauron, he was nowhere. He was everywhere. Darkness surrounded him, cold and endless, and in the distance, fire burned. And at its center, a great eye turned toward him. There you are. Frodo gasped, stumbling back, but there was no escape. The eye held him, burning into him. You cannot hide. You cannot run. The ring is mine. The darkness tightened, chains wrapping around his mind. Give in. Give in. Give in. Frodo ripped the ring from his finger. He collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. The world returned, the trees, the wind, the ruins of Amon Hen. And Boromir was gone. Frodo scrambled to his feet, heart hammering. He knew what he had to do. He had to leave. The attack. Boromir sat against a tree, breathing hard, staring at his trembling hands. What had he done? A deep, guttural horn blast shattered the air. He looked up. Then he heard them. Shrieks. Footsteps. Armor clinking. The Uruk-hai had come. They crashed through the trees, larger, stronger than the orcs of Mordor, their yellow eyes filled with bloodlust. And they had one mission: find the halflings. Boromir roared, drawing his sword, and charged.
Stale mit stale.
He cut them down one after another, his sword dripping with black blood. He fought like a man possessed. But there were too many. A black arrow pierced his shoulder. He staggered. Another arrow. Then another. But still he did not fall. He swung, one last time, before a fourth arrow struck his chest. He collapsed. Merry and Pippin screamed as the Uruk-hai grabbed them, dragging them away. Boromir, bleeding, dying, reached for them. No. No. And then Aragorn was there. The ranger tore through the Uruk-hai, his blade flashing. But it was too late. The hobbits were gone. Boromir choked on blood, looking up at Aragorn. I tried to take the ring.
His voice was weak.
I failed you. Aragorn shook his head, kneeling beside him. You fought bravely. You kept them safe. Boromir smiled faintly. My city, Gondor, it needs a king. Aragorn gripped his hand, his voice breaking. I will not let it fall. Boromir exhaled one last shuddering breath. And then he was gone. The Fellowship is broken. Frodo stood at the river, a small boat waiting. Sam appeared, breathless. Mr. Frodo. Go back, Sam. Sam jumped into the water, though he could not swim. Frodo panicked. Sam. He grabbed him, pulling him into the boat. Sam clung to him, gasping. I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. A promise. Frodo broke down, pulling him into a fierce hug. Together, they paddled toward Mordor. Behind them, the Fellowship was broken, and war was coming.